What is up, Fanatics? It is 8 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means another episode of Home Theater Fanatics Live. Tonight is episode 154, and we've got a good one. So I've got my old friend Roger from HiFiMan back with us tonight, and he is going to tell you all about headphones. You're going to know more than you ever wanted to know. So Roger, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Jiles. Nice to be back.
Oh no, it's so good to have you. And everybody knows that when it comes to headphones, HiFiMan is my favorite. I mean, I don't hide it. I love them. Everything from the cheapest ones to the most expensive ones. If anybody's going to buy a pair, I always say, check these out first. See if you can find something you like, because you probably can. But not everybody knows who you are and who the brand is. So maybe the right way to start is to kind of get into your history a little bit, and then tell everybody, exactly, who and what HiFiMan is, and what you sell, and what the products look like, and all that kind of good jazz. Sound like a plan?
Sounds like a good plan.
Awesome.
Okay. Basically, my name is Roger Fortier, and I've been in the audio business for longer than I hate to admit, but probably close to 40 years, working with some high-end audio companies. High-end audio, whether it's headphones or anything else, has always been my passion, both audio and theater. So when I'm in that mode or in that group, I'm just as happy as could be. And I still am with the HiFiMan company. HiFiMan basically is a company out of China. Dr. Brian Fang is the CEO of the company, and we make headphones that what we call open back headphones, and what we call a magnetic planar design. It's different than a conventional headphones. For those that's not experienced with it, or not familiar with it, most headphones, as you would imagine, is nothing more than a little tiny speaker inside a cabinet that's put on your ears. That's basically the design that almost everybody's done for decades, and that's a very viable way of doing it. And it has some excellent headphones that make that kind of design work really well. Having a cabinet around your ears also keeps the sound out. So if it's something that you are critical to, where you don't want any interruption of any kind in your music, that works really well. We use a little bit different concept in the HiFiMan with what we call a magnetic planar design. Instead of using a cone, we use a flat diaphragm. And we put magnets on both sides of the diaphragm, and then we run a signal through there so the diaphragm moves back and forth, similar to what a cone does, but a lot more space is moving back and forth. In order to do that properly, we have to leave the outside part of it open. We can't put a cabinet on it because the pressure will actually interfere with the diaphragm. By doing that, we create what we think is a quicker sound, because the diaphragm is super lightweight. We use what we call nano diaphragm. Nano diaphragms are so thin that if you take it and turn it sideways, you can't see it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really incredibly thin material, and we coat it with a particular material, and then we stretch it out in between, and then we put magnets on both sides. So when the signal comes down on the diaphragm and gets attracted to the magnet, there's no weight there. So it can move just as free as possible. That gives us a sound that is very open, very airy, full of information, full of details, and good sound all the way up and down. That's the best way to get it. It's well defined. People that usually listen to our headphones, and once they get used to it, or not used to it, as soon as they hear the airiness and the openness, most of them stay with what we do. They really like that kind of a sound.
Yeah, so I remember the first time I listened to magnetic planar headphones, and up to that point, I'd always used what are they called? So Closeback, dynamic or whatever. It's just basically
dynamic is the right word.
Yep. Yeah, so dynamic Closeback, and for certain situations, that's great, right? Like travel, if you're on an airplane or something like that, that's great. But I had not experienced, an open back of the design that you use, and this was, it's been a number of years ago now, but I still remember when I listened, it was kind of a revelation and an epiphany. And I was like, oh, I had no idea, right? Because, until that point, it's just, crappy little things that I stick on my head, and, it is what it is. And that's the best I thought. And I'm like, man, you can even get into these at a relatively good price point, like a couple $100, and they sound
Yeah.
outstanding. So yeah, it's really something different if people haven't had a chance, or they've not, really dove into the headphone market to see what's out there. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it is. It does present a whole different view on listening to music. And you're right. Some situations require that you want to knock or eliminate sound from the outside. And there's
Mhm.
no other way of doing that but having a closed back. Whether it's you don't want to disturb your partner that might be with you, or you are in a studio doing recordings and you had a noisy recording studio or things like that. That's the way you want to control the sound. But if you're just sitting there wanting to listen to just pure music and just to listen to the sound and be really relaxed, this offers an alternative that most people really get attracted to. And it's very successful for us. I mean, we've been growing by leaps and bounds and literally selling some of our models as fast as we can manufacture them. So it is definitely something that people aspire to. And like you said, it's very easy to get into. They don't necessarily be very expensive because the price range varies dramatically. But even the least expensive one gives us a really, really good sound.
Right now, I'm looking at your. Let me see if I can actually share this out. I'm going to share your web page. Let's see, share your screen, a Chrome tab, HiFiMan, share, and then I'll add it onto the screen. I have to talk everybody through it because it's like a million steps. Um, so let's just jump into reference. So these are kind of the Ferraris, I guess. Oh, that's more reference. Where are they at here? Okay, there's your in-ear monitors, and then okay, yeah. So the one that everybody wants is a Sisvara, $6,000. They look awesome, but
Yeah.
I would challenge folks to grab something like the HE400Is, or some of the stuff down here at this $169 price point, the 400 SE for 129. And I mean, that's like a revelation for them. I mean,
Yeah,
just
the 400 SC is an excellent way to get into the music when you're on a budget. Um, it has a magnetic planar design. It's got the open diaphragm. It does a really good job with that. So you can do that really well. The most popular one we have, which runs around 350, is the Sundara. Um,
right.
that for us has been, I can only call it a home run. I mean, it's a great price point, and the amount of performance you get for the dollar has been just exceptional. And as fast as we can manufacture that, we're basically sold out of the Sundara. So that's been a really good one. And yeah, people might want to, strive for the Sasvara, but that's a very expensive headphones, and it does require, as I call it, a monster of an amp to drive.
Oh, really? Maybe that's
Oh yeah.
something we can talk about just a little bit, because that's, just like with any other speaker, a lot of people will think about headphones. Okay, I'm just going to plug it into my phone and I'm good to go. Well, that's a little bit different, right? I mean, you really want to get some dedicated equipment when you start getting into the high end. And, let's just say if somebody wanted to move all the way up to the top, what type of equipment would they need to use with those headphones?
The funny thing about headphones is, like you said, everybody thinks that you can just plug them into the phone and away you go.
Right.
And it's kind of a outside idea. They're right to a little bit of an extent. In other words, basically, might be able to plug most headphones into a phone and hear something.
Right.
Doesn't mean that it's actually performing really well. It's like having a car. Yeah, you can step on the gas pedal and it might move, but if it's not going really fast, it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. And that's kind of what it is with headphones too. So when people are looking at headphones, there's a couple of things they need to look at, but one is sensitivity, which is how easy it is to drive.
Hmm.
How easy is it for the headphone to make? And inexpensive headphones generally are easier to drive than more expensive headphones. Not always, but that is a common type of thing. As you get into headphones that are designed with bigger diaphragms, bigger cones, bigger magnets, all of them require more power. Then you start having to look at whether it's a portable. If it's portable, you might have a portable player with you. For a while, a lot of people would have a phone with a little amp that they
Right.
carried with them, and the phone would go into the amp and then would run the headphones.
I still have one
Nowadays,
of those. I use it all the time.
there you go. Yeah, and
Yep.
that's still common, and we still see a lot of people with that because the headphones need the power in order to sound right. Um, it's basically the way it goes. If you're getting into some of the better headphones and if you're in that budget range, then a lot of people will start looking at desktop, what we call desktop amps.
Hmm.
And those can go anywhere from $300 for a desktop amp to $15,000 for a desktop amp. It's entirely depends upon one, your taste, and then two, what the headphones require. So for a good example, I'm going to use one of our headphones, which is a Susvara, which is one that everybody talks about. The Susvara is an open design, magnetic planar. All the magnets are stealth type design to them, but the efficiency on them is really low. It's 82
Right.
dB, which means that it needs to have a lot of power to perform. What most people, the best way to look at it is when you're trying to use power, for every 3 dB in volume you go up, you got double your power.
Yep.
So if you're starting at 1 watt and you want to go up 3 dB, it's 2 watts. If you want to go up another 3 dB, it's 4 watts.
4,
And it continues
8,
that way.
16,
So it doesn't take
32.
very long before that amplifier starts getting chewed up in power. And if you're starting really low at 82, then you need the power. On the flip side of it, from everything that I've seen so far, what I've heard and all the reviewers out there is when you have the big amplifier with that headphones, everybody thinks it's Nevada. So, it's there to be had. That said, we can also, turn around and do something like the 1000 SE for us, which is another open air, not quite as expensive as a Susvara, but the efficiency on that's 96.
Oh, that's a
So,
huge difference.
a huge difference. And you can take a little amplifier, like your portable amplifier or a little desktop amplifier, and that headphone will run really easily off of that. That headphone was designed with that concept in mind. We were trying to make a headphone that would be easy to drive.
Yeah. Well,
So
my goal at Expona this year is, I want to come by and see you guys and look at everybody else, but I want to identify what that amplifier is. And I'm hoping that, someone there has the kind of amp that speaks to me, because I've decided I want to have one of those, what's the right term? I don't know what the right term is. Kind of snooty setups. I want like a tube amplifier, and I want everything to look like it costs $8 million. I just want it, right? So that is my goal for Expo. I want to come and there'll be everything else there, but I'm going to find the right headphones and the right amplifier, and then start saving my money, putting away the pennies. But that's the plan. Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, it is. Actually, if you be at Expona, from what I've seen over there are some good manufacturers that are going to be there, and you'll have some really good amp choices to listen to. So it's a lot of fun, and they're different enough that it will accommodate your taste no matter where it is. Okay.
Right on. Okay, so let's pause for just a second. I want to say hi to all the folks that have joined us in the audience today. My mail is here, Double A, still working on becoming Triple A. He's here with us, Hi-Fi Haven, and Amiko. I must have to say hello, and I'm glad you're here with us in the audience today. She has her own channels, works with the Home Entertainment Show, and produces music and makes films, and is just what's a Renaissance woman, I guess you could say. She does it all. So
that's nice.
Glad to have her in the audience as well. But getting back to the show. So now, do I remember correctly that you guys kind of strayed outside of your normal design tenets and have done a little bit of work on Closeback stuff too?
Yeah, we're doing some work in Closeback on two different levels. We're trying to see if we have actually got one Closeback with a magnetic planar design.
Really?
Yeah, it's we call it the R10P, which is for planar, P for planar, and it seems to work very well. It is not the exact same thing as what an open air would be. And we don't want it to be compared to the open air. We want it to be compared to the best closed backs out there that you can find. And we're looking at it that way. So we've been able to do something along that line, but we've also been able to look at the market. The market is asking for some closed back and the less expensive models. And so we've been working now on some dynamic drivers and making closed back with dynamic drivers. Our dynamic drivers, we do something a little different, and it's called topology. And basically what we're doing is we're taking nanoparticles and we're actually layering them on the diaphragm themselves to cause
Okay.
the diaphragms to change tuning, to
Sure.
actually
It adds some mass, tunes it.
yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
trying to tune the diaphragm and different areas on the diaphragms to give you better sound for the different frequencies, so that when the frequencies comes through on the actual diaphragms themselves, they're more accurate. They reproduce the music more accurate, and that's what we do in the conventional when we're using a conventional dynamic driver with a closed back.
That's wow. And just to comment on this too, a lot of people that I talk to that really aren't into headphones and really haven't exposed themselves, they have this impression that headphones are just going to give you like a limited subset of sound, like they play from 100 to 2000 hertz or something like that. But I mean, there's nothing further from the truth. I mean, a good set of headphones is going to take you down to 5, 6, 7 hertz and well beyond what you can hear on the high end. I mean, they are truly amazing sounding pieces of equipment that reproduce everything.
Yes, they
And you don't
absolutely
even have to go buy a subwoofer.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely do. Bass is for a lot of people is critical, and some companies have really made their reputation building headphones that do a tremendous amount of bass, and
Sure.
that's for a particular clientele and particular music genre. Closed back will always produce really good bass because you got a cabinet like a regular
Yep.
speaker cabinet would be. Open ear headphones like ours will give you the definition in the bass, but we can't give you the impact. So that's the one area that's a big difference between closed back and open ear headphones. Flip side of it, the mid range is for us is very, very clean because there is no frequencies that is in the cabinet to mesh with it.
Sure.
So it gives us a more open air feeling in the mid range, a much more open air feeling and information in the high frequencies. So there's a trade off no matter what you do. I mean, you always have to do something, and it depends upon what kind of music you're listening to and your taste. Um, but I found after a while that, at least for me, with our headphones or with a magnetic planar design, when I put a closed back, I don't like it. It's too much coming into my ears. I like the sound to be out of my head, not in my head. Uh, and that's just my
Well,
own preference.
I think that's probably more of a natural sound too. So, and I've noticed and experienced exactly what you're talking about. When you put these close, like I covered so these are open back, right? And when I cover them, it's like I'm in a tunnel, you know. But this is so much more natural, and it's just the design of the headphone that does that. Um, and for me, I listen to a lot of electronic music, hip hop, rap stuff with lots of bass, and I I'm fine with magnetic planers. I mean, I don't feel like I'm missing anything.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And I know I'm working for a company that makes these, but
You were
so
told to say that.
you have to take what I say with a grain of salt if you like. But personally, I'm the same way. I prefer to have the definition in the bass. When I went to listen to live music or whenever I listen to live unamplified music, um, I don't find any exaggerated bass. I've never run into any place where you could get an exaggerated bass. You get the definition and you get the drums and whatever else is playing, and I enjoy that tremendously. And there are a lot of music that are with amplified bass. That's fine, and I listen to a lot of it. I mean, my people can't believe what I listen to when they look at my Spotify list. It's all the new stuff. I'm always searching for new music. It's to me, it's a lot of fun. But at the same time, I've familiar with that live sound, and I still
Mhm.
always want that more of that sense of a live sound than anything, if I can find it. It's fun.
I totally agree. And,
Yeah.
talking about new music, people please don't make fun of me, but man, I'm loving the new Adele. I mean, I guess it's not
Oh,
super new
yeah.
anymore, but so good. Everybody in the audience is like, what's this guy talking about? No, but it's so good. It's so good. Anyway, back to back to headphones. So let's talk a little bit about how the company's weathered the last couple of years, and how things are looking on the front for product and stuff, right? So you guys are still available for purchase and can be bought everywhere. Are you able to keep up with demand nowadays?
Um, yes, but just barely. Realistically, I've got an excellent distribution system here in the United States. I've got a lot of very good dealers that are very devoted to or very supportive of us. So I've pretty much kept them at that level. I've not been adding a lot of dealers just so that I can make sure that I can keep supply with them. We've done a lot of business through the HiFiMan store. We do have an Amazon site. I mean, everybody has to have a site on
Yeah,
there.
you got to have you on
You
Amazon.
got to have it. So we do quite a bit of business through that too. But it seems like all my dealers have been going up in volume, so it's not affecting them. It seems to be actually helping in the long run. But it is a constant struggle. It's pretty much as soon as I can get shipments, they're pretty much all spoken for. A lot of times I have to fly stuff out of China direct just to keep up with it. Um, it's been a struggle over the last couple of years with the increase in duties. That's affected, obviously the bottom line.
Sure.
The shipping has gone up tremendously. To give you an example, we used to pay about $2,500 for a container in shipping. Over the last year and a half, it's now 25,000.
Yeah, I've experienced exactly the same thing. I work with a number of companies and I help them arrange shipping and that kind of stuff. And containers are just, I mean, it's beyond ridiculous.
Oh, it's phenomenal, and it makes it difficult for companies like us or most companies, whether it's us or any other business, if you've developed products to appeal to a market at a certain price range, and then all of a sudden you're going to now absorb all the increase in materials, the increase in the shipping, the duties, and all the other stuff that goes along with it. How do you keep your product in the proper area? That
Sure.
becomes a real challenge, and that's an ongoing discussion that we have, that I have with Dr. Fong all the time, is how do we do this? But so far, we've been successful and able to keep most of it somewhere along the line. We're patient, waiting for the containers to come in. And like I said, usually when they arrive and we open them up, they're pretty much all spoken for. They go out as fast as we can. But also, we've been looking at the market at least through 2020 and 2021. The market not only was really popular in all the audio video business with headphones and speakers and home theaters and TVs, and because everybody was cocooning, obviously.
Right. Yeah. Plenty of time.
Yeah, it spent a lot of time. But we also noticed is that people became much more conscious of their money.
Sure.
And so the bottom end of the market became a lot stronger, and people were looking for better prices in that area, which is kind of ironic because I do a lot of business on the lower end. The 400, the new 400 SE, the new edition XS has been so far is coming across extremely well. The Sundara we can't keep as
That's the
fast as
one.
I can make them.
Is that the one for price performance? If you want
Yeah,
the
yeah,
one,
that's
that's
the number one. We just do really well. So we do really well in that end of the market, and then in the middle, it's consistent, but not gangbuster, except for the Ari. The Ari has picked up really well, which is around 1,700. But the ironic part about it is the Sasfara picked up, and I
really.
have
They
sales
want 6 grand or something.
at 6 grand. It's the retail on it, and it's constantly all week long. We get orders and orders and orders for those. So there is a lot of really people out there that said, "The hell with it, I want it.
I'm getting the best.
Give
You
me,
know,
give me the headphones."
so over the last year, and I'm sure this will resonate with some folks out there, especially probably with Amika if she's still listening. But I found that after COVID came around, it seems like I had more time because I was at home a lot more, and the way that I listened to music, it kind of changed a little bit, right? And I think it moved to kind of a better place because before I was like just all the time going, and kind of my go-to at that point is I had my cell phone, I had a little external DAC, and then I had some inner monitors, which I love, and I'd go out to lunch by myself, and I'd sit down and order some food, and then I would just listen to stuff, right? I would stream and listen to music, and they sound pretty good, right? But at home, I had more time, and then I could sit down, and whether it was with headphones or with regular speakers, and really listen to music and listen to the whole song, and maybe even listen to a whole album, and listen to it multiple times, and think about it and look for things inside the music. And I hadn't done that like that for a while. I don't know, it changed for
And
me.
the pandemic gave you the opportunity to do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I found myself the same way. A lot of my listening was, pair of wireless when I was at the gym, or
Hmm.
music in my car when I was driving, and then when I got home, I was so busy that it was in the background. It wasn't a lot of attention to it. But what I found myself doing as time slowed down a little bit is almost every evening, for the last hour of the evening or something like that, I'd put on the headphones, I'd turn on the app, and then I would pull up my phone and get the Spotify out, and start listening to music. And I'm really bad about that too, because I would go, okay, let me see this. Nah. Oh, well, let me listen to this one, and
Well,
then
that
put it
that
on my,
is the
put it on my
wonder of
list.
streaming.
Huh?
That is the wonder of streaming. You have access to everything.
Yeah, and it's just my music just exploded. There was so much more stuff that I got to listen to and to enjoy, and artists that I hadn't heard about, and other people. It's just been a lot of fun. It's the kind of thing that I enjoy. It's what music's all about. It's enjoying it and the emotion that it brings on into things, and a lot of people don't think about it that way. But then, when I say when you go to movies, it's the music that's making your emotions work.
Absolutely.
It's not the dialogue. Yes, some of that is really important, but if you really stop and think about it for a minute, you're going to find it's the music that makes you feel good or feel bad or nervous or tense, or it's all part of the emotions. And it's no different when you're listening to people singing on Spotify or Cubuzz or any of that stuff.
That's very true. Another thing that I got into over the pandemic, which I'd resisted up until this point, but I set up a Rune server at home, right? And I connected that to Cobuzz and Tidal and a bunch of other stuff. And man, that software, the interface, you'll play a song, and then it's like it reads my mind. I don't know how it knows, but then it shows the next songs that it's going to play, and I'm like, oh my god, that's perfect. And then there'll be one that I don't know what it is, and it'll play, and I'm like, that's awesome. And it's like it's inside my head, and it just knows what I'm thinking, and it's the most amazing thing ever. So yeah, I mean, if people aren't using a Rune server, it's really, really, really good software. I mean, they know the music, and they've got that algorithm down. At least for me, maybe I'm just too what's the right word? I'm too standard, or there's a slang term now.
You
Oh,
don't want
he's
to use the
just
word gullible, do you?
well, maybe I am a little bit gullible too, but whatever that term is for being just kind of plain, maybe I'm just too plain, and I'm just easily figured out. But it was like magic.
I've heard a lot of people speak highly about it. I haven't used that software for probably the last 3 years. I don't have it myself, but when I was
Mhm.
using it, I was really surprised at how good it was. It did a wonderful job of doing things with music and the different streaming services and that. So yeah, can I can imagine that must be really good to use.
Right. Oh, the term is basic. Maybe I'm just too basic. I just my musical tastes are basic. You know, another thing that, and this is kind of funny, especially kind of existing in audiophile circles to a certain extent. But I never really listened to what I would consider to be the standards for audiophile folks, right? All the songs that you hear when you go to listen to speakers being demoed, you hear that same kind of stuff over and over. I never really listened to it much, but I kind of got into more of that, 60s, 70s kind of music, rock, guitar kind of stuff. And I'm like, man, it's better than, maybe I'm just getting old. It's way better than I thought it was going to be. It's good. so I don't know. So I guess COVID's had its silver lining to a certain extent. It's a scourge and it's horrible, but at least it's been good for music.
Yeah, you know what was funny is I read a report one time, and I was kind of shocked by it, and then all of a sudden I realized how true it was. The majority, not everybody, but the vast majority of people stop listening to new music sometime in their 30s.
Interesting. So it's just like from that you're just stuck in like, okay, it's only the stuff in the past.
Yeah, and I go back and see some of my relatives, and I'll go there, and they'll be sitting there to something in the 70s, and their station is on the oldies. And I'll go visit another relative over there who's a little younger than that, and he's stuck in the 80s. And all day long, while I'm visiting there for 3 or 4 days, that's all they're listening to is the music that they listened to when they were younger. They don't listen to the new music at all. And I'm going, wow, I guess there is something to that.
I guess there is.
I'm not like that, but
yeah, I listen to all the new stuff too. I really like new music, and I'm always looking for something new. Of course, you can find old new music. I don't know, stuff from the past that you never heard of.
Yeah.
But I like to listen to the new stuff too. Now I was listening to the radio yesterday or today, and I didn't pick up the whole conversation, but they were talking about music and the music industry, and that a lot of companies have been investing a lot of money in these old portfolios of music, right? So, stuff from the 50s, 60s, 70s, they're spending a lot of money to make this stuff available. Instead of investing in new artists, they're taking that 25 million and they're going buying this collection from Neil Young or whoever it is, right? Somebody that's, back in the day. And there's a lot of investment going there. And, they were having the conversation of, does that hurt new artists or not, or from my point of view, it's just business, right? New artists still put their stuff out, but it was kind of interesting to think of because, it kind of calls back to what you're saying, and the population is obviously getting older. So maybe there is even more value in the older material than there was in the past.
Yeah, but also keep in mind too that with all the younger people out there, most of them have never heard a lot of that music.
Mm-hmm.
The music that came out of the 20s, 30s, 40s, they've never heard.
Sure.
And if all these tapes are available and the companies can get a hold of these tapes and clean up the sound and re-release it, there's a lot of wonderful music that came out of that time period. It's really worth listening to, even if it's mono.
Yeah.
I've had people tell me sometimes they've listened to mono recordings and they thought it was stereo because it's just so well recorded. They did a really good job with recording back then.
They did. Yeah. And I'm thinking like, I forget what the movie was, but, it was talking about Motown artists and in that time frame. And, they would have people come to like hotel rooms and they would have this little portable recorder thing that would like cut it to an album or something. And they would just sing and record it. And they would make albums just like that. And, they sound pretty good. But the amount of stuff that's got to be hiding out there that has been forgotten about.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. It must be absolutely wonderful.
There's nothing quite like music. All right. So let's talk a little bit about shows where you guys are going to be at. So people, if they want to come experience and, they don't have a local dealer maybe that's got the equipment on hand, you guys will be at like Can Jam #1 and then Can Jam #2. And there's like 100 Can Jams. What's that looking like this year?
Yeah, actually, for people that really want to get into it, the Can Jam in New York City, it's at the Marriott at the Times Square, and it's a wonderful show. It takes up an entire ballroom. People there are absolutely wonderful. You can sit down, you can listen to all kinds of headphones, you can listen to music. There's no pressure for sales. We're just there to demonstrate everything. Exponers in Chicago, and that's around April 20, off the top of my head, 23rd, 24th, something like that. And that's in Shrewsbury, Illinois. Schaumburg, thank you.
Yeah.
My pronunciation's always been bad. And we have a room over there. Actually, there's a personal audio ballroom over there, so people can come in and listen to personal audio. And right now, the ballroom is full, so there'll be a lot to listen to over there. We'll be there also at that time with all of our new products. At the Can Jam in New York, we have a brand new product coming out, which I can't tell you about now, but we will introduce it at the show. And I've experienced it so far. It's a really hot little piece. It is definitely something that we've done, we have experience with, but this is really, really a good piece. Extremely good and musical. There's another Can Jam in Chicago, in downtown Chicago, and I think off the top of my head, it's like in the end of June.
Okay.
So people that might be interested in that can look on the web under Can Jams and take a look at where that's playing. And then there's one in Southern California, which I believe is now going to be in September, and Irvine Marriott. We've shown there for a few years now, and that's also a wonderful place to come down and listen to music. So if you're really interested into music or headphones, or even want to listen to headphones and really good stereo, which you can do at Expona, I highly recommend taking the time. It's not very expensive. It's just a wonderful day to spend over there and just have a lot of fun, because nobody's trying to sell you anything. Everybody's there just to provide you with entertainment.
Yeah, if people haven't been to shows yet, I would really strongly urge them to go to a show, go to a headphone, go to a Can Jam, go to a 2-channel show, go to Expona. Just get to a show, because the things that you're going to hear there will be extremely valuable to you. Whether it's discovering a new piece of equipment that you like, or for me, most often it's hearing new music that I wasn't exposed to before. And you'll go in and sit down and they'll be like, this is a $1.5 million system, blah 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 blah, cables cost $200,000. And I'll be like, that's great. But they'll play a song that I've never heard before, and I'm like, oh. So I always come back with a notepad filled up with notes, and half the time I'm like, what was that? It was a song with a trombone. Okay. I don't know what it is, but and hopefully I've got the right card for the guy, and I can call him like, hey man, you were showing and you played this thing, and they'll know what it is. But there's so much value to be gleaned out of a trip like that. And it's not just to go shopping, right? That's part of it, but you can make a lot of friends that are into the same stuff that you're into and hear a lot of good music. So I strongly recommend people do that.
Yeah, I do too. It's just an excellent way to educate yourself and to just have a good time. That's just like you said, it's a really great place to have a good time.
Right on.
Tons of different music, tons of different experiences. Things you didn't think could happen happens.
They do, especially in those rooms where they're like, we'll just keep the music going until midnight and we won't tell anybody, and all kinds of craziness ensues in those rooms. Those are the special rooms. They don't close when they're supposed to.
Well, they'll close the doors, but the room is full of people just having a good time.
Absolutely. All right. So we're talking about having a good time. I think we're running out of time for this good time. So, Roger, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's always a pleasure to have you on specifically, and then also to talk about the HiFiMan brand. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed myself.
Absolutely. So look forward to hearing from you again. Everybody, keep your eyes and ears peaked, because there's a new product coming, and I can't wait to see what that is. And as soon as I get the details, I'll make sure to share that far and wide. If anybody wants to find out more about your brand, I'll make sure that there are notes and links down below so they can easily find that and check it out. Link to the store there as well if you want to just go ahead and pull the trigger and pick up a pair of these headphones while they're still in inventory. When they're gone, they're gone. There'll be more, but get while the getting's good.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you again so much, and I'll see you next time, sir.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, folks. So this is going to bring us to the cleanup segment of the show. You know, Neil is robotic, but it works for the show real well. I don't even know what you're talking about. Oh, you're talking about Reacher. That's got to be the television show. Haven't watched it yet, or is it Peacemaker? I don't know who you're talking about. But just a few comments on television, just to bring everybody up to speed on the things that have caught my attention over the last little while. For All Mankind. So this is a Apple TV show, and it is a alternate history show. So what that means is, they take the timeline of real stuff, and then at some point they create this divergent history. Something happens different, and then they tell the story from there. Well, in this story, man, and it's just gut wrenching on the first episode. Russia beats the United States in the space race. And I don't want to give the details away, but that sparks this ongoing space race that moves into the future that is much more than what we experienced in real life. So it's really, really interesting. I'm on season 2. I think they're just 2 seasons of that one now, and it's really, really good. I've really, really enjoyed that. Now, let's talk about shows a little bit. So my plan right now is I plan to be at Expona this year. I plan to be at the Home Entertainment Show this year. The new Denver show, whatever that shapes up looking like, I plan to be at that one as well, as that is here. And I'm really super excited about that. And it's supposed to be even a little kind of a broader show than the others. It'll have home theater and other kinds of things. So really excited about that. Hopefully I can actually meet HiFiMan there for the first time. That'd be kind of cool. He's just like right down the road. And then from the channel's point of view, Home Theater Fanatics channel just dropped a review of the periodic audio in-ear monitors. Love those guys. Dan's awesome. You should check those out. I did the THX Onyx DAC, which is a portable DAC that people typically use with headphones as well, and that's a nice piece itself as well. So check that one out. There we go, HiFiMan. You're going to be at the show. Perfect. All right, folks. I think we're going to close it out just a little bit early tonight. I've got some kids that need some help with homework, so I think we're going to close her out. So thanks, everybody, for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.